Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to jump right into this one here today. So I hope you all have your minds wide open and the cognitive dissonance deactivated because we are going places that few, if any, have dared to tread before. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen this image already, and it was most recently reposted by Donald Trump on February 3rd of this year. And he's asking, what do you think of the comparisons between him and Elvis Presley? Now, apparently, these comparisons have been going on for years, I think in large part of his own doing. But let's have a quick glance at what some of the fake news media have had to say about it in the past.
Forget Donald J. Trump. Meet Donald Elvis Trump.
Elvis! We love Elvis.
But people were left feeling
I'm all shook up.
when the president took it a step further.
I shouldn't say this. You'll say I'm very conceited because I'm not. But other than the blonde hair, when I was growing up, they said I looked like Elvis. You see that?
All right, so they said he looked like Elvis growing up. Let's have a look. Here they are, side by side, in their younger years. I think about early 30s here for both of them. I think it's easy to see some of the similarities, at least in these images. And let's have a little look at Elvis. Elvis Aaron Presley was born in 1935. He was born 35 minutes after his identical twin brother, Jesse Garin, who was stillborn. So Elvis, he was born an identical twin, and they got the same middle name there almost, with Aaron and then Garin, Aaron with a G. I wonder what they added the extra G there for. Let's have a quick look here at Elvis's name, Elvis Aaron Presley, as it was spelled when he was born, just with the basic ordinal cipher of gematria. I know some people out there, they like to use all sorts of more complicated ciphers. I think if you have to go to those lengths, you might be looking a little too hard, but I do like to have a look at the basic one. Sometimes it does give you little clues about how things connect in this false reality matrix that they've created. So Elvis Aaron Presley in the basic cipher adds up to 215. However, he says here later in life he changed the spelling of his middle name to Aaron with two A's, which bumps us up one to 216. 216 is 6 times 6 times 6. So right there in his name, later name in life, we get a 666. He was born on January 8th. That's a date you can write 1/8/18, which you could also break down to 6 plus 6 plus 6. So there we got another 666 on Elvis right there out of the gate. On 35s, I see 235s, 1935, and he was born 35 minutes after his twin brother. Is very exact, right? So 3 plus 5, we get 8, and then we double that, we got an 88 right there. We got 2 8s, 88. It's another very important number to the occultists. You'll see it everywhere if you start paying attention. It's in a lot of movies about time travel, especially. Trump, his name too, adds up to 88, so something to keep in mind. Here we got the entrance to Elvis's home in Memphis, Tennessee, in Graceland. 2 pillars on either side, something just to keep in mind. We got the 2 pillars. His little building at the top there looks a little like an Egyptian hieroglyph to me there. Maybe a circle, maybe that's an eye. Memphis. What was Memphis? The original Memphis. That was the first capital of ancient Egypt, which to the Egyptians at that time was known as Kemet. Kemet. That's where the name Kermit the Frog comes from. And we got another famous frog here these days, popping up all over the place too. You see the similarities too here with the pillars. It looks a little bit, reminds me of his Graceland there with the pillars too. Current day Memphis, Tennessee has a giant pyramid, just like the one they have in Egypt, that was built in Kemet, ancient Egypt. It was opened on November 9, that's the date 11/9/119, which backwards is 9/11. You should also know by now, I think that that's a very significant number as well to the occultists, 9/11. So Elvis died on August 16th, 1977 at 3:30. No, he didn't die at 3:30. They announced him dead at 3:30. Actually, if you look into it, they say they believe he died sometime between the hours of 9 and 11 in the morning. So we have another 9/11. And then, of course, they had to announce it at 3:30, which is our 33 big Freemason number. Also the age that Jesus is said to have died at, 33. And Elvis was 42 years old, 42. I remember that 35 again from earlier. It was the 35 minutes. 42 plus 35 gives us 77 again. That's the year 77. The current age of Donald Trump as he runs for his second term as president. Elvis, he was due to fly that evening to Portland, Maine. Portland. Port, what's a port? It's where a ship docks. It's also a door or a portal. A port to land, the Maine. Something to think about there. A little bit of the timeline of Elvis's last day. So apparently he liked to stay up late into the night. 4 a.m. he had his cousin and wife come over and play racquetball, and they were worried about the rain. So Elvis said, "Ain't no problem, I'll take care of it." He held out his hands and the rain stopped. And he quipped, "If you have a little faith, you can do anything." So here we have Elvis performing a miracle just a mere few hours before his death. And then after that, they say he sat down on the piano and sang 3 songs, including Blue Eyes, Crying in the Rain. A few hours later, he took his sleeping pills and he went into the bathroom in his gold pajamas to sit on his throne. So dressed in gold as the king, sitting on his throne, and with his book, The Scientific Search for the Face of Jesus. That's the last book that he ever read when he sat down and apparently died on the shitter looking for the face of Jesus. Did he ever find it? So it was only 2 days later they had Elvis Presley's funeral, August 18th, which is quite fast for anybody, let alone the most famous celebrity in the world. So it's interesting they managed to pull that one together in 2 days. Here's a picture of the funeral procession. He had 17 limos at the funeral in Memphis. So 17 is Q. It's the 17th letter of the alphabet. We see a lot of Q's popping up these days. Some interesting things happened around his funeral. Apparently, a car plowed into the crowd, killing 2 women and injuring a third. So sounds quite unfortunate. Possibly some kind of a ritual sacrifice there. 2 other people going down with the king as he's buried. Where else have we heard a story of a king dying with 2 others at his side? I think we've seen that story as before, haven't we? And August 29th, 11 days after the funeral, 3 men were caught attempting to steal his body. So 11 days, 3 men, with 11 times 3, we get a 33 right there. Jesus, weren't they worried about his body being stolen too? But of course, one of them was an undercover FBI agent, so that's how we know it's definitely a true story if the FBI was involved. Alright, so as we've all heard, Elvis was known as the king of rock and roll. So where does the term rock and roll come from? Well, if we do a little search online, the official story is that it's from a 17th century mariner term for boats rocking and rolling on the ocean. If you've been a truther for any time, you know a bit about the boat symbolism and the maritime law and all that. It could also, though, if you look a little deeper, you might find some stories about rock and roll having to do with another famous rock that rolled. This is the rock that was used to seal Jesus' tomb and later rolled away. So rock and roll could be connected to that as well. Here we got Elvis in one of his favorite outfits, the jumpsuit with the phoenix, symbol of resurrection. And another symbol he liked was the peacock. Peacock is a symbol of royalty. You can also notice all the eyes on the peacock. Makes me think of the the all-seeing eye. All right, this is Elvis's birthday just last year, 2023. What would have been his 88th birthday, so a very special one. They built him two birthday cakes. And we got one with the crown and the phoenix, and we got the other with the peacock, the symbol of the royalty, and the piano keys, of course, because he was known for his music. But also keep in mind the piano keys, black and white there, and there's 88 keys on a piano. You can look that up, 88 keys on a piano. So we got 2 cakes for Elvis on his, what would have been his 88th birthday. Speaking of birthdays, we got from Elvis Presley's funeral on August 18th, 1977 to Donald Trump's 33rd birthday on June 14th, 1979. We have exactly 666 days. So we got the 666 mark of the beast popping up here again. So what was Trump doing when he was 33 years old? Well, let's have a look.
Trying to scrape up a down payment for a little fixer-upper in your neighborhood? Take a look at my next guest. There's a report around Wall Street that this is what he has in mind. This is Donald Trump, 33 years old. And some people think that he wants to buy the World Trade Center.
There we go, Donald Trump, 33 years old. This is spring 1980. This is said to be his first network appearance. That's funny, he's 33 years old. That's his first major network appearance on NBC with the peacock symbol there. And within the first 17 seconds of Donald Trump on network television, they've tied him to the Twin Towers. And then, of course, a few years later, 2004 to 2017, Donald Trump, reality star on his own show, The Apprentice, on same network, NBC. Here we got the twin symbolism again going on there, and the peacocks. Of course, the twin symbolism has been going on a long time with Donald Trump. You can search for that. You'll find lots on it, so I'm not going to go into it much here. But here's Jimmy Fallon on September 11, 9/11, doing a little skit with twin Donald Trumps. Simpsons did A Tale of Two Trumps. You know, if the Simpsons did it, it's got to mean something. Here's some more Fallon with two Trumps. Donald himself on Saturday Night Live doing a skit with two Trumps again. Here we got the network's Tale of Two Trumps, Fox News. Donald Trump getting his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame because, of course, he is another Hollywood celebrity. And he's got his 2 fingers on the star. Here's some more SNL with his 2 Trumps. You got the Oreos. The 2 Trumps, 2 Donalds have arrived. And then you'll see lots of mirror imagery if you look. Lots of stuff with Donald looking in the mirror. And more Tale of Two Trumps, NBC again. We got the Peacock Network. So, something about 2 Trumps that they want us to know about. All right, so while we're still in Hollywood here, let's have a look a bit more about Elvis. We got his longtime manager, Colonel Tom Parker. That's him on the right. And on the left, we have him played by none other than Tom Hanks in a recent production biopic about Elvis Presley. Came out last year. Amazing what they can do with the prosthetics, isn't it? Here's the Colonel, earlier years with Elvis Presley. It's funny, he wears the short tie similar to another famous Colonel, Colonel Sanders, and someone who we know Donald Trump is a big fan of. He likes to talk about his love of KFC and the Colonel. I like to look sometimes back at just to see if there's any news articles that tie into this story. So here's something from last year in Tennessee. That's Elvis's home in Tennessee. Judge Parker, who was appointed by Donald Trump, Parker like Colonel Parker, he shut down a anti-drag law he used it as an example Elvis Presley impersonators being prosecuted. So that's interesting. We got Trump, Parker, and Elvis Presley here in the same article in Tennessee. So also on this Hollywood movie from last year about Elvis, they had him as a boy walking around wearing a lightning bolt around his neck. I don't think there's any evidence that he actually wore that as a child. I think it was used as a fictional device. And you should know by now that all Hollywood biopics about famous people are complete bullshit. And they could slap a biopic true story label on anything they want, and who are you to question it, right? But the reason they did it, well, Elvis actually did, as an adult, he did walk around wearing a lightning bolt around his neck. Here he is with it, of course, right above his cross. You got the lightning bolt going down onto the cross. The reason he said he wore it, it's actually a logo for his group of friends, his musicians, I think, that traveled with him. They called themselves TCB, Taking Care of Business. And so this was Elvis's motto, taking care of business. And he had the lightning bolt as the symbol for in a flash. Who else do we know that likes to take care of business? Well, Donald Trump, of course, one of the most famous businessmen in the world. He definitely likes to take care of business. Of course, Donald Trump, he's the boss, right? That's why we had to have him on TV for all those years before becoming the president, just to get us used to watching the boss fire people. Here he is, his first season of The Apprentice. We got him doing his Freemason V symbol down there. And look here, we got eight contestants on the top, and we got a row of 8 on the bottom. So we got an 88 here for Trump. Of course, Apprentice is a stage for Freemasonry, and got the guy here running with, what they want you to think is a briefcase, but some might say it's the handbag of the gods that you'll see on ancient carvings around the world, especially in ancient Egypt, Sumeria. Who else do we know that had a TV show and was trying to deliver a briefcase before becoming president? Yes, you recognize this guy? Yeah. There you go. And of course, that's Elvis on his golden throne in his golden palace up at the Trump Tower, which was used in the Devil's Advocate movie. Interesting there. I'm sure you've heard of that before. Elvis Presley, another interesting fact, apparently he collected police badges every city he went to. He'd ask for a police badge. He wanted to be an honorary officer of the law. So Elvis Presley, he cared a lot about cleaning up America too, just like Donald. This is his badge given to him by Richard Nixon for the special assistant of the Bureau of Narcotics. And there we got the Phoenix, of course, on the top. Here's Elvis's plane. He's got the lightning bolt right on the tail. Again, taking care of business with his bolts. So we get a little look here at the news again. This is recently March 11th. That's 3/11. 3 times 11. We've got 33 right there. Air Canada flight taking off from Vancouver, struck by lightning. And of course, somebody was there to capture this moment on video. It's got the plane struck by lightning with 550 passengers, 55 in there. Satan in basic gematria adds up to 55. And then 3 days later, we have another Air Canada flight from St. Lucia in the Caribbean with a baby being born on the plane. So we got St. Lucia, female version of Lucifer. Baby born 3 days later after the bolt of lightning. Here we got another aircraft also leaving Vancouver for Victoria. So they like their V's. We got V's, double V's here. Departed at 9:11, of course, and it was struck by lightning. Had 2 pilots, so we got twins up at the front, steering the ship with 12 passengers on board, 12 disciples. This is another funny story we had last year, January 19th. That's a 119. We got a 911. Guy named Elvis Francois. He was rescued after being adrift at sea in the Caribbean for 24 days. He was rocking and rolling on his boat in the ocean. And he was from Dominica. Dominica, that's Latin for the Lord's Day, right? That's Domingo. Sunday is Domingo, Dominica. He survived eating ketchup, garlic, and Magi ketchup, garlic. What's that make you think of? It makes me think of vampires, right? And the Magi makes me think of the wise men, the Magi that came to visit Jesus in the Bible story. And he was rescued by the Colombian Navy. So Colombia, from Columbus, Columba, which is Latin for dove. Dove is a symbol of peace. This here's a funny commercial we got. And it's a beer commercial from the Netherlands. It takes place where? In the Caribbean, of course. And we got right out of here, we got Elvis Presley. He's an old man. He's been hiding out in the Caribbean for some reason. As soon as we go from Elvis, what do we see next? Oh, we see a cross. That's good. And of course here we got our black and our white. That's our Freemason black and white. And we got the black and white hat. That hat looks familiar to anybody? Yeah, we're going to get to that later. That's the hat that's worn by Michael Jackson. No, he's not in this commercial. So we'll just skip ahead here. So these are all the supposedly dead celebrities living the good life in the Caribbean. Then we got a boat out here. The guy says,
Me and your cousin saw you have a show.
I think I saw Elvis. You're crazy, man. So there we go. Some more Elvis for you.
Out, out! He looks like an Elvis impersonator. That's strange, because all the Elvis impersonators love Donald Trump. They love me.
All the Elvis impersonators love Donald. I wonder why that is. Here we go. He even got the Phoenix on as he meets the Donald. Jimmy Fallon, he loves Donald Trump. Here he is doing an impersonation of Donald Trump, doing an impersonation of Elvis Presley. 2 wigs were involved. Interesting. All right, so let's move on now to where things get weirder, as if they weren't already weird enough. Here we got everybody's favorite couple from the 1990s. We got Michael Jackson, the king of pop, and Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of the king of rock and roll. They make a lovely couple. Here they are again together. Michael, he liked to flash his V sign. They like to tell us it's for victory or peace, but some might say it's for visitors or a vampire, or maybe it's just a 2. So we got the king of pop and marrying into the king of rock and roll. We got the 2 kings coming together here. And you notice already the 2 of them, they like to go up on their toes, and got the black and white, of course, as well. This is an interesting story I found. In the winter of 94, Lisa Marie Presley and Michael Jackson, they got to know each other at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. So Trump apparently was the matchmaker that helped bring these 2 together. Their marriage, it didn't last too long. It lasted for a little under 2 years. Donald said, though, shortly after they were married, that they were at the top of the Trump Tower now. So that's where they like to spend their time together, at the Trump Tower, the 2 pillars of music royalty. Remember the 2 pillars? So here they are, Donald and Michael, good pals. And it's a funny image here. You notice anything there in the background? We got a guy in the turban with the beard and the 3 planes. Very interesting, considering this picture was taken, looks like probably the late 80s or early 90s. What did they know? So after Michael's marriage to Lisa Marie, he married Debbie Rowe. That's Rowe, R-O-W-E, like in Roe v. Wade, the famous abortion case in the United States. Also, think of row your boat. And Michael's wearing his phoenix bird there. Again, we see the phoenix once again. Same thing like Elvis liked to wear. Here they are. Here's Michael with his children on his his red throne. A lot of royalty motives going on here. I think he even named his son Prince. There's Michael in his later years, wearing the mask before it was cool. You know, he liked to stay ahead of the game with the fashion. I don't know how he knew, but yeah, he was a man ahead of his time there. Always the jokester too. He likes playing his little devil ears. It's cute, eh? He's got his red string bracelet. We see a lot of those celebrities wearing those these days, don't we? So here's an interesting story about the time that Michael Jackson met Melania Trump. I haven't seen any stories about them meeting after this, so this might actually be their only encounter. So soon after, she married the 69-year-old businessman. That was a good age also for Donald to get married, 69. Where did we see that? There on the Royal Arch, the keystone, we got a 69 at the top that holds together the two pillars. So Donald's the 69. Is he the keystone, keeping together the two pillars of royalty? And in this story, when they went to visit Michael Jackson, Trump left the room, and Michael said to Melania, "Hey, when Trump comes back, let's start kissing so he will be jealous." So I think Michael looks a bit like a vampire here. He was looking like a vampire, wasn't he? Later in life, he avoided the sun. His skin got paler and paler. And what happens when a vampire kisses you? And we got a few years later, after Michael's gone, we got Melania Trump dressing up like Michael Jackson. There's that hat again. We saw that earlier, didn't we? Yeah. And they got the black and white going on again. We got the Freemason shout out there. Had Twitter users seeing double. And where was she dressed like this? Well, of course, in Egypt, at the Pyramid of Egypt. So, you know, if you want to go do some black magic, that's the place you got to go, right? This is a funny story. Melania Trump on her family secrets. Nobody will ever know. What family secrets does Melania have? So we're told she's from Slovenia, but they say here she has a dreamy Transylvanian accent. Who else do we know from Transylvania? Count Dracula. Of course, she's eating silver. You know, that's when you're rich. Those are the kinds of things you're going to want to eat. So, I thought the silver bullets would kill the vampires, but I guess it's okay if you eat it, right? You just can't get shot with it. Donald Trump's mother, Mary, came to New York on the SS Transylvania. What another interesting coincidence. So we got some people coming from Transylvania for some reason here. And then, of course, Donald Trump's father, Fred Christ Trump. So his mother, Mary, and his father, Christ. I'm sure that's just a coincidence too, right? Melania, derived from the Greek word for black or dark. So Melania, she's the dark one. You know, maybe she's white on the outside and black on the inside. Or she wants to be black, and you know, Michael was born black and then wanted to be white, but you know, like he's saying, it doesn't matter if you're black or white. So what do you think? Have a closer look here. See any similarities between these two? Is that possible? So here they are, each of them with the Donald. Melania, it looks like an older version of Melania. Definitely doesn't resemble the current version of her. So, but you can see that you know, they got very, very similar body structure, facial structure, same height and everything. So they're a good match if you wanted to swap one of them out. So I'm going to leave you with this one last clip here. This is Donald Trump posthumously awarding the U.S. Medal of Freedom to Elvis Presley back in 2018. Let's hear what he had to say.
In fact, at the end of a performance, oftentimes the fans would go so wild. I was there once in Las Vegas at the Hilton. The fans were ripping the place apart, screaming. They were going crazy. And they announced Elvis has left the house. Elvis, if they didn't say that, I think I'd still be there. Maybe I wouldn't be here. But they had to do that. Elvis has gone. Elvis has left.
Elvis has left the house. If they hadn't said that, he might not be here. He might still be there. What do you think? If Elvis hadn't left, would Donald Trump be here? If Michael Jackson hadn't left, would Melania be here? Thanks for watching.